And welcome back to the Engage 8 podcast here on a beautiful Thursday evening. I think that'd be the correct.
Beautiful. It is raining.
Well, it's beautiful because the faces are here. I'm not talking
Oh
about.
yeah, there we go. There we go.
Not
What's on
talking
the
about.
screen is beautiful, not what's
Yeah,
back there.
yeah, not the rain pouring down in the area, but it doesn't matter because today we're here to talk about our QB prospects, our top five, among some underrated guys we want to mention as well. But first, I wanted to get thoughts on Michigan hiring running backs coach Tony Alford. Robby, what do you think of this hire just
Well,
on
well,
the
let's just.
perimeter?
I have two places I'm going to take this hire. First of all, Sharon is now 2-0 against Ohio State, and he hasn't even coached as a head coach in 2 games. So, Ohio State, you can take that. Ohio State fans, you can take that for what you want, but we just literally took a coach right out of your program after he had his best running back room. So I'm sorry, but there's no excuses as to why he left. This is one of the best rooms, if not the best room in the last, I'd give it the last 5 years at Ohio State. Quinshon
Probably
Judkins and Travion are both going to be NFL running backs, going to be guys that are going to go within the first, I'd say, 4 rounds of the NFL draft. And for a running back, that's really good. So he comes on to Michigan. Now, the argument that a lot of Michigan fans want to make when they're done hyping over the fact that we just took an Ohio State coach is, well, Ohio State doesn't run the ball very well. Tony Alfred isn't a guy that's going to come in and put in run schemes because, first of all, at Michigan, he doesn't have to. Sharon Moore has done that with his offensive coordinator job. He has put in all the run schemes. But what Tony Alfred does that nobody talks about enough is he is one of the best recruiters of the running back position in the modern era, in my opinion. I mean, think about the running backs that Ohio State has been able to get. The 5-star Zeke Elliott. You could go, Curtis Samuel was technically a running back. Gosh, I'm missing some names.
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields. Sure. We can go there. Even guys like Trey Samuel at the end, that guy was a really big contributor in the 2020 season. So there's just been some guys that he's been able to pick up that have done really well for Ohio State, and now this is
Robbie's
twice.
having some light issues in his house, man.
Oh, it is my power going out.
How are you
That's
still
good.
connected?
Wi-Fi, but I don't know how that's working either.
Yeah,
So this is a mystery today.
we're on a mystery podcast
Here
today.
we go.
All right, Robbie,
Improvise here.
Robbie, the lighting expert, knows he's going to use his iPhone flashlight
Yep.
to get some okay lighting. Wow, you're seeing it here first.
Let's go. All right. That's how we improvise, baby. All right.
Robbie is
So back
gonna.
to what I was saying. Great running back recruiter. He walks in, he's already got a great room. So hopefully he is able to coach that position well and line that up with Sharon Moore's schemes. And who knows what could come with it. I think, though, most importantly, this is just a really good hire for the rivalry to keep this thing going, to keep Michigan fans, players, if there was any doubts in their minds, in the coaching staff that is coming in, that this thing is still alive and well. Yes, we did come off a national championship, lost our whole staff, lost the quarterback, lost a lot of guys. They're still here to compete, and this thing, they're not going anywhere.
I'm intrigued, and I will wait until spring practice because I know that kicks off next Monday.
Spring practice, I think, kicked off today, actually.
Did it kick off today? Okay.
Yeah, I want to say it was this week. Maybe it was yesterday, but
Okay.
maybe it was
Because I know it was sometime. I know last week, like Ohio State and Alabama and all of them started their spring practices and stuff. And cool thing actually. Alabama's gonna have their spring ball game on ESPN, so it'll be a sight.
Of course
to see.
it is. Are you kidding me? That was not going to be any other way, and I'm sure that somehow, some way, Nick Saban's going to be on the broadcast. Just how this thing works,
That'd
ladies
be
and
like
gentlemen.
low key
Welcome to.
well, that'd be like low key though, like the toughest thing to like commentate because there's no like game flow in spring ball. Like
Yeah,
there
but
is.
that's why Nick Saban comes on, because then he explains to you why spring ball is ran the way it is and what they're doing, and
Yeah, I mean, I understand it. I'm just saying, like commentating wise, like that would be like low key.
it'd be
Like,
so annoying to
yeah,
commentate.
that
You
would
would
not.
just have to do a ton of back work to make sure that you have players, stories, and everything about that. Because, like you said, there's no game flow. There's a big play here and there, and then here comes the next guys, and here comes the walk-ons, and it's monotonous. It's
I'm
terrible to
interested to
watch.
see though, because I do want to see Austin Mack compete for that starting QB job.
Yeah, he's gonna give Jalen Milroe a run for his money. I'll tell you that much. I would have thought we would be witnessing Julian Sayin and Jalen Milroe going at it, but obviously Julian Sayin, I don't know if it's that he thinks that he's not ready, because
He's
I don't
talented.
think you bring in Will Howard and then you say, oh, let's bring in Julian Sayin and then just let the kid start, because Will Howard doesn't have a year of eligibility after this.
I still think Devin Brown's going to be the QB1 by the end of summer. If he can stay healthy,
I'll tell you one thing:
if he can
more
stay,
than one quarterback is transferring when the spring portal opens out of that place for sure.
I don't think Ryan Day's going to like Will Howard. Well, Ohio State's like, that's the problem with Kyle McCord last year. Like, they need a quarterback, and that they've kind of had this over the last couple seasons with this past like half decade with like Haskin. I guess it would be more than a half decade. I forget 2019 was just 5 years ago. Like, that's just crazy.
2019 being 5 years ago it doesn't feel like, it feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah,
That's because that was the year before everything changed. So
yeah.
it's like we have
Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields, and CJ Stroud, like those were quarterbacks that could throw it all over the field. And
JT Barrett could throw the football.
Yeah, JT. Yeah.
But like like you said, those guys, any throw you wanted them to make, they could make it.
I feel, and that's how I feel about Devin Brown. Devin Brown can throw it all over the field. If you've seen his high school tape, that kid.
But okay, you used to be able to say, well, if you saw his high school tape, but he's played in a college football game against the Missouri Tigers, and
yeah, but that was not. No one played good. No one played good that game. No one did. Well, I feel like part of it's that offensive line, because that thing needs a lot of work too.
Part of it is you got to stop chasing off-season national titles, and you got to start chasing after them ones in the regular season.
Yeah. I mean, I think the ground game, and it could be a thing, because I don't think Kine Holtz is going to be a starter. I just don't. He looks like Kyle McCord 2.0.
Oh, Lincoln Keenhold. Yeah, I don't think so either. He is.
And I mean, in really what direction, if you want to stay with the running offense, if you want to go Aaron Nolan, go Aaron Nolan. If you want to have a quarterback that can actually
Aaron Nolan's I think Aaron Nolan is the guy we never see play.
I think Aaron Nolan's going to become a receiver. I legitimately believe that. Like, I think he'd be good though, dude. Yeah, but he's fast. He's quick. He knows, like, he can move in open space. So you think, if he learned the route tree, I think he'd be completely fine. And he's a lefty too, so like, he's not going to play.
The lefty stuff it's a real thing still. I mean, Michael Penix obviously made an exception.
Yeah, but Michael Penix is one of one. Like,
and the same with Tua. Tua was 1 of 1 in college football. I mean, Michael Vick even, but Michael Vick was obviously, I'll get Tebow in college for sure.
Yeah,
he struggled in the NFL, but like you said, those guys were better for their legs and.
Yeah.
The lefty predominant thrower, there's 2 that I can name, and other than that, you literally have a bunch of nobodies. And I don't know if that's because he's left-handed or because I don't know.
I just don't think he's a good quarterback.
No, Aaron Nolan, bar none, is just not. He's not a good quarterback. If he wants a future in the league, in college football, I do think switching positions is going to be of his best interest.
Yeah, there you go, Prentice. We gave you some life advice. I forget that's his name. All right, let's get where we're here, because me and Robby love to ramble. It's Robby's rambling segment. But first, I wanted to propose this question, and I texted this to Robby yesterday. Think of athletes, because obviously the NFL does, like, at their combine, they do the 225 bench press. And I mean, I know the NBA does 185, but like, what do you think a lot of these athletes, just across sports in general's 1 rep maxes?
Like, so we had the conversation about basketball players, and it's going to be tough because, like, there was so much Twitter buzz about Joe Alt and Blake Corum having the same amount of bench press reps at 29, I think it was. And you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that Joe Alt is 6'8", making his wingspan almost double what Blake Corum's is. So therefore, the bar has to go farther. His bar path is a lot longer than Blake Corum. So therefore, it is easier for Blake Corum to rep that out faster than Joe Alt does. And it's not about strength. It's not about this. It's not about that. I'm pretty sure Joe Alt could move a man of a larger stature than Blake Corum can. It's simple. That's physics.
Yeah.
But back to the conversation of think about some of these, like LeBron James. So Joe Alt's 6'8", weighs about 330, and he's benching 225 29 times, which probably makes his one rep max sitting around the 450 plus. 4 to 450 is actually what I'd say, because I don't know. Because
do you think
the fact that Aaron Donald can bench press 500 pounds, yes, that's another guy smaller in stature, super strength though. I wonder if that maybe even takes down, I don't know. I say 400 pounds for a guy like Joe Wall. I feel like most NFL linemen are benching 400.
Yeah. I was thinking like LeBron, like, is he getting up 315?
I don't think so.
Well, okay, but the thing is, with offensive linemen, they're gonna have a way higher body fat percentage.
Yeah.
NBA players, like Joel Embiid's like 5% body fat. Like,
100%. But 315, man. I mean, LeBron he's built for an NBA player, but that's not saying much.
He could play football.
He would die. The dude would.
He's too tall, but
he's too tall. Like his legs, because he couldn't play the offensive line, so he'd have to be a 6'8" tight end. But the 6'8" tight end, Darnell Washington, is built like a you know what, and so he ain't built like a LeBron.
He could play. He could play DN. You forget that he's 260.
Yeah, he could play DN. He could be a really good college DN, but the NFL, if he gets taught right, I mean, maybe. I wonder how. I think the other thing I wonder is how fast could these guys run the 40?
Like De'Aaron Fox, dude, could that guy run a 4.2?
Like, yeah, like that's what I really wonder. And you think even about a guy like LeBron who runs well, like, dude, his strides are huge.
Yeah, I know.
Like, how fast would LeBron James run the 40-yard dash?
John Wall in his prime. That guy was.
Oh my gosh, Darren Collison.
Yeah,
dude, those guys would run the 40. In my opinion, I think it would run them pretty fast.
That would be you know what? We need an NBA NFL draft.
See, the weird thing is though, is that the NBA tests that stuff or doesn't test for that stuff, but there's nothing that like the NFL does that like would correlate. Like, because like, yeah, they still do a bench press, but like they like I think the biggest one of the biggest things in the NBA is the vertical jump. But the NFL tests that, and some of these guys can jump with NBA guys. So it's like I feel like
all I gotta say is watch like Michael Parsons in the Celebrity All-Star Game, dude. That guy ate.
Yeah, dude. He's in. Those guys are insane.
Yeah, I mean,
athletes.
Yeah, I feel like all athletes though could play like all sports.
Like CJ Stroud, dude. I think that guy could lace it up and play a lot of sports at probably a collegiate level and do very well.
Yeah, it's just baseball is the one sport where I'm like,
baseball is a different breed. It takes different. I couldn't explain it to you unless I just threw you into a batter's box and said, "Hey, here's 85, touch it," and then I'm gonna throw you 85 7 times, and then I'm gonna throw you a slider, and you're gonna have to try and hit that. So it's just like you wouldn't understand it unless you experience it. Which, by the way, there is a way to experience it. That VR thing, what is that called? Win Reality. It does a pretty good job at simulating what an MLB at bat is like.
How'd you do on it?
Oh, fantastic! We actually used that as a training tool back in college. Oh my gosh, it was terrifying at first, and it's like I don't know if you ever put on a VR headset, but it is freaking trippy, man. When you're immersed into that world, I'm like, holy, not me, man, not for me,
not for you.
No.
All right. All right, here we go. All right, we're gonna get to what we were supposed to. We're gonna go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Honorable mentions, underrated, and then we'll be out of here. So in like 2 hours when this thing's over. Yeah.
Right.
All right. My number 5 guy, just making the cut. I'm gonna go Spencer Rattler.
There we go.
So I wanted to put him higher, but I think realistically that's not the right option just because the other top 4 guys, I believe, are going to be probably project better in the NFL than Rattler. But Rattler's one of those guys that can make any type of throw. And if he's in the right headspace, because I think that was the problem at Oklahoma. I mean, you had guys chanting, "We want Caleb, we want Caleb." A lot of them
Right.
talking bad about his name. He was talked bad about as a high school player because he was a crappy teammate. And then I think him going to South Carolina, it didn't start out the greatest, if you know that. But I think once he beat Tennessee and Clemson, like he solidified himself as like a top QB in the 2024 or 2023 season, 24 draft. And I mean,
Right.
he played relatively good for what he could in the 2024 season. He took Georgia, he made Georgia's life hell in that game. He took North Carolina as far as he could. He didn't have an offensive line and got sacked 9 times. He tried his best to compete all season. And if you watch the film, he's one of those guys that can just manipulate in the pocket, make throws down the. I really like his throws down the seam a lot, fade routes, throwing deep ball accuracy. I think is his strength, which I don't think is a lot of these quarterbacks' strength in this draft class. So I think that's something. But I mean, he could also make the intermediate throws. I'm surprised about his 40 time not being that high. When I saw that, when I saw 4 9s, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, but at the same time, football speed and track speed are 2 different things. That is a real statement, and I think people need to take that into account. Being able to be quick in space, that is a huge thing that a 40 does not reflect because you have to run 40 yards. I mean, not many times Spencer Rattler is going to need to run 40 yards. But if he can escape a rush by having quick feet, make quick decisions, and cut in space, he's going to be fine. And and that shows up on tape, though. I think he looks a lot faster, quicker is the word I'll use on tape than he does that on the track on the sideline of Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, I think wide receiver is the only really thing that is good.
Straight speed. Corners, wide receivers, I think
safeties.
Yeah,
because safety's got to get downhill. I mean,
absolutely.
they're not running 40 yards, but like that, especially for that 10-yard.
Yeah, but it's the 10-yard splits help. No, it's true. Those are the only real. I mean, because even running backs aren't running straight.
Yeah, a lot of them are. And I mean,
it's about how fast can you go from full speed to to 50%, then back to full. That's the stuff that really gets tested, and those get tested in other drills. That's why they do more than just the 40-yard. That's why they do the 3-cone drill. That's why all those things are there.
Yep, JJ McCarthy was like number 6 in the 3-cone drill.
Yeah, he's the fastest quarterback. One of the fastest quarterbacks to do it, but
I wish he didn't run the 40, did he?
Hamstring tightness, but I believe he's going to run the 40 at his pro day.
Okay.
But at the same time, I know he's probably, all these guys get their private coaches or whatever to help them prepare for this. They'll get trainers, whatever. They know what their time is going to be roughly within, the 0.4. They can 0.4 here or there, right? Like, if he knows, okay, I'm not going to run a 4.5, he's never going to run it. He'll let that be a mystery.
I think he could, though.
He could, but if he knows, if he's not running 4.5s, and knows, okay, I can't go out tomorrow and run a 4.5, there's just no point. That's why I was shocked that Spencer Rattler ran it, unless he's ran it way better.
He looked better in his pro day running it, but I don't think it was a great time.
Yeah, it blew me out of the water when he ran a 4.9.
Yeah. So, but I think this is definitely the most underrated quarterback in the draft and only really big scouting. I think you're going to, NFL Network, they're going to probably say, oh, Spencer Rattler is going to be a 3rd to 4th round guy, and he'll project up to the 2nd round. Yeah. I don't think team's going to take him in the first round. As much as I'd love him to, I just don't think.
I have a weird feeling though that he's going
to unless Minnesota takes him.
I have this weird feeling he's going to go in like the 5th round.
Really?
And not that I think that he's that's the caliber that says who he is as a quarterback. I just
he's not the same person that he was like 5
years
ago.
That's the problem is like, so Spencer Rattler was such a bad media guy, right? Like he was not good in the spotlight, and that started in high school. He going to South Carolina, you're so away. You don't get the cover. Like nobody knew what Xavier Leggette's voice sounded like because he was never interviewed like that. And then he gets memed because he's got this crazy accent, right? Spencer Rattler has not been able to show that he's matured and changed as a human being. So now everyone's just got this persona like, oh, he's just a D-bag and, he does this, he does that. But he's like really not. He's very mature. He's very selfless when he talks about his team and who he is as a person and who he is as a quarterback. And he's only now getting to show that. But, I do know that those draft interviews, they get to find all that. And they probably ask all the right questions. So who knows? In my opinion, if I were an NFL GM, and I'm saying, or even just these analysts, that I have a feeling that he's going to fall to the 5th round, but I think he's a 2nd round, like late 2nd round grade.
Yeah,
like,
I think
truly this guy's a game changer.
I think it's A, B, and C, and then the rest of the pack.
In my opinion, throw Joe Milton out of there because I don't even want to talk about that guy. But Spencer Rattler might have the most pure arm talent.
I think when you combine throw power and throw accuracy and just mechanics,
he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks. Yeah. He's up there, top 2 most accurate quarterbacks in this draft.
Yeah, like it's between actually probably him and my number 4 guy, JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy's at my 4 slot. JJ's good, and he might be higher if he has a little bit more volume, but I don't think JJ McCarthy is also the way he's built and the way he throws. I don't think he's
What do you mean by the way he's built?
Like he's not like yoked. Like he's not built like
he weighed in at 220. 6'3", 220. That's
but eyes wise, he doesn't look yoked, right? Like
no, but dude, everyone was saying what you were saying, and I was of the thought that he was going to weigh in at like 205. He weighed in at 195 as a freshman, so that's scary. 220. I mean,
220 is good. Like
Caleb Williams, I'm pretty sure Caleb Williams is 220.
I mean, weight matters, but like.
But I see what you're saying though about
his physical build wise, like
he weighs more than Caleb Williams. That's actually crazy.
But also when you're that when you're more,
he's also a lot taller than a lot of people give him credit for. He stands at about 6'4", and that makes your frame look different. And he's got longer arms. But I hear what you're saying. Keep going.
Yeah, like he's got throw power. Like when he was in, I remember that the Western Michigan game as a freshman, he threw an absolute 50-yard bomb. What was it? 50? It might have been 40, but opposite sideline. I think it was down to Ronnie Bell, and it was like,
wait, are you talking the Western Michigan game?
Yeah,
Dalen Baldwin. Yeah, that was his first career touchdown. Yeah, that throw, the fact that he made the throw. And everyone was like, what the hell is he doing? And then he's leading his receiver down the field and separating him from coverage. As a freshman, have the nuts to do that first of all, and then the throw. Yeah, it was
the first game of the season too.
Yeah, it was his first touchdown pass as a. I want to say it was his first throw as a Michigan Wolverine, to be honest with you.
Yeah, JJ's an uber talented quarterback, and I wish. If they weren't so stick to the scheme, trying to have an NFL running style in their scheme and keep the passing fairly simple, if they would have let JJ unleash, or if JJ was in a Josh Heupel system,
oh yeah, he would have had I love to make the comparison that Hendon Hooker is what JJ would have been if he was in that set. JJ would have done the same thing. Yeah, that's what I like to believe.
Yeah, I do believe JJ would have been a very nice QB. If he got to put more on display. And I mean, he still really looks good. It's just not that much people were watching Michigan games until Penn State because they had no reason.
Why would you?
Yeah, but JJ still made good throws. He's a good quarterback. I think he projected those receivers actually, Cornelius and Roman Wilson, actually both looked pretty well at the combine, and I think they're
Yeah.
gonna
I think
project.
Cornelius is going to fly up boards. I think Roman flew up boards when he took the field at the
See,
Senior
I don't
Bowl.
know I don't know when Roman's gonna be though.
I just saw something that had him at a first round grade. And I'm
Why?
like, why? So that's the big question. And it's like the prototype and it's so wild to me that Brian Thomas, who if he was you throw
This
him
was
you go 10 years ago, you go 15 years ago. Brian Thomas is the number one receiver on every draft. 6'4", 230, ran a 4.3. Dude, he is on every draft board high as he's getting drafted at the level that Marvin Harrison's going to this year, that Megatron was back in his day. Like,
Percy Harvin,
right. Because
wait.
that was the receiver, was 6'5", beefy as heck. Let's run. You're a freak athlete. You can make every catch, but that's just not how NFL. That's not how the NFL plays nowadays. It's crossing routes. It's because a guy like that, he can't get hit. Kelvin Johnson was the proof that that body will break down so fast. So Brian Thomas is looked at as a guy like, oh yeah, you hit his knees enough. Like, he's big dude. He's got big joints. He's gonna break. Where a guy like Roman, a guy like Julian Edelman, those guys, dude, they could take beatings for years and play at the highest level, and reliable hands. Now, I don't think, I mean, not that Ladd McConkey is a guy that's of small stature, but when I think of the prototype NFL receiver, Ladd McConkey fits that. I think Ladd McConkey is deserving of a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, I think and we'll get into more positional breakdowns
Yeah.
as we go on. But what I'll say is that I still think Brian Thomas is like, he's an outside guy, and if you keep him outside the numbers, like, it doesn't matter. You just have to run outs,
You can
curls,
scheme him up.
corners. Yeah, like, he's still going to be like AJ Brown. I know he's not tall, but like, he's still a physical freak.
Right.
So,
And AJ
like,
Brown plays well in the NFL.
yeah, and I think Brian Thomas is a physical freak as well for my evaluation, and he's a pretty good receiver. Like, I think there's a reason why he was leading the college football in touchdowns, because he's just like, he's that good.
He goes and gets the ball. I mean, the guy scores. The guy puts the ball in the end
Like,
zone.
I like him better than Neighbors. Neighbors and contested catching is a huge concern, and maybe it's just an LSU receiver thing in college, and then NFL preseason, and then
then he drops the ball, and then all of a sudden you're the best receiver in the league.
Yeah. Jamar, Justin.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah, but no, and my thing with JJ is that he has to, I don't think he has to learn much stuff quick, because I do believe Michigan ran the most NFL ready offense. It's just, what is he going to do? Because I'll say yes, that he played good. He played good in that Alabama game. I will say that. Washington, he played relatively good. Most of the season, I don't think he played good, but he was playing against bad teams. Can he keep up the consistent performances throughout 18 weeks? Or do you think he needs time to develop?
Oh, I think this kid needs to sit for a year. That's why I want him to go to a team like, everyone's like, oh, JJ to the Patriots. Let's get him on the field. That's setting the kid up for failure. Look at Jordan Love. That is the perfect situation. Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers admits Zach Wilson was thrown into the worst situation possible. Not only is this a BYU kid who grew up in that area, Utah, right? Then gets thrown into the Big Apple, and now he's the starting quarterback, and he doesn't have a team around him. And now all of a sudden, he might not ever get a chance.
Same thing with Bryce Young. Like,
Bryce Young, it's the exact same way.
Uber talented, and I think if in the right situation, he could play. And Robby's telling me to take a second.
Somebody just knock on my door. Hold on.
All right. Well, I'll continue to ramble as Robby proceeds to other life. Oh boy. Anyways, what I'll say is that, I don't know if JJ McCarthy is going to be a guy that he's going to take the keys right away. And here comes Robby back. Here we go.
Nobody's
What was that all about, buddy?
I don't know. There's nobody at my door, but I heard knocking. But then again, this mic can catch everything. So if there's knocking up there, I'll hear it.
Yeah, no, that's the exact thing. Like, I don't have my headphones plugged into my microphone anymore because I can't stand the
echo and hearing everything.
monitoring and like hear everything. Like, I can hear exactly what my parents are talking about, like outside my room. And I'm just
it sucks. It sucks.
So, okay, but what I'll say is, to your point, I don't think McCarthy's a guy that needs to take the keys right away. He's not trying to uplift an NFL franchise and attract talent. He's going in there to probably sit for maybe half a season, get developed, and then with a quarterback that's probably, on the fringe of being a starter and being a backup. And I think it'll work. I do think it'll work. Now, where does McCarthy go NFL wise? I don't know. He could get drafted to Seattle, even though they just traded for Sam Howell. Vikings, obviously, probably a good destination for him.
No, I don't want that because he has to.
He would play. Yeah, he would play.
Kirk is obviously the guy there, or was the guy.
Yeah, he was the guy. Yeah.
So a lot of those teams, right? Like I loved the idea of Seattle and Minnesota, but both those teams are looking like
he would. I think he could sit in a year in Seattle if Sam Howell doesn't work out.
Right, and because Geno's gone. I loved Denver too. I loved the idea of Denver. Sit behind Russell Wilson, right? What a guy to learn behind.
I mean, he could go to Pittsburgh. He could go to Pittsburgh.
It's not a bad place, but I don't remember how long was that contract in Pittsburgh for Russell?
It's only 1 year, $2 million, I'm pretty sure.
Wow, can you imagine that guy? If you would have told me 10 years ago that Russell Wilson, or not even,
I thought he would have been retired by now.
Yeah.
To be honest,
I would. I don't know what the deal is like for Matthew Stafford, but I would love JJ to go to the Rams. Oh,
yeah,
that'd be the perfect pro to learn behind. I think that guy's just a class act.
I mean, if he fell to Detroit, like I know we have Hendon. Hendon.
It'd be. There's a lot of places that have guys that are on their way out. That's just the ideal. That's why he was good.
I think Jared those here for like 4 more years. So.
Oh yeah. I could talk on that topic for a while, but Jared Goff is definitely the quarterback for the future for the Detroit Lions. Not that I want him to be, but
I don't think the Bears would be. I mean, Bears are going to take Caleb. So.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. JJ is probably going to have to go in there and learn how to command an NFL. Well, not command an NFL offense. He can do that.
I don't know.
Command a team, and there's a lot more that comes with being an NFL quarterback than it does being a college quarterback.
Like, there's a reason he was super talented in college, but he didn't start over Cade McNamara. And Cade was okay at Michigan. I'm not going to say he was bad.
Cade was owed that opportunity, though.
Yeah. So
he was. So who knows if Cade McNamara does that? Because they lose that game.
I think though, to be honest, Michigan's offense looks completely different if JJ starts his freshman year.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people would argue that. I don't know. The kid works his tail off, so who knows what the heck he's going to be capable of his year one. And to be honest with you, knowing the competitor he is, I'm sure he wants that play. I'm sure he wants that job right away.
Yeah. All right. My number 3 guy, I got Jaden Daniels, and Jaden Daniels would be perfect if he didn't have, because Jaden Daniels, his problem his junior or 2022 season was he couldn't throw the ball past 15 yards up the seam or anything. He had a huge problem. He'd run outside and he'd just take the ball and run for days. And we know Jaden Daniels is the best runner in college football. That's why he won the Heisman. Like, don't want to. He has a good arm. He does have a good arm. He has a pro caliber arm. But when you're LSU and you have 2 top 15 picks at receiver, arguably, maybe Brian Thomas falls a little bit lower. Neighbors is probably going top 10. It's tough to evaluate, and I think he's a guy that's honestly going to need to sit for a year or two. like if I want anyone out of this top 5 sitting, it's Jaden Daniels, just because I don't know if he can make throws everywhere. I really don't. I don't know. He proved that he could throw a deep ball. His intermediate passing game's okay. His short passing game's good. So I don't know. I really don't know what to think of Jaden Daniels. And will this might get exposed for like, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? You shouldn't have a podcast. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Robby, what are your thoughts on Jaden Daniels? Because I'm actually kind of intrigued to hear.
I would have told you before a guy like Lamar Jackson walked in the league that this guy is destined for failure. Jaden Daniels is actually a little more physical than Lamar Jackson. Runs not better, but his potential, his ceiling is up there with Lamar's. I saw a lot of great things from him this year in terms of the passing game. He did a great job of showing NFL scouts why, he can be considered and trusted in an offense that passes the ball a lot. I just don't know if this guy has everything together. I don't know if he can put it all together. I don't know if he has the versatility to be both in any moment of time. He's very inconsistent. And like you said, how does he look without 2 top 15 picks? Because at Arizona State, he wasn't doing this. Now, obviously, you go to a place like LSU, you're going to get developed a little bit better than you would at Arizona State.
Arizona State, he was a strict runner.
Exactly. And so you wonder, was that because that was Arizona State's offense? Was that because he, just needed to get developed? Who knows? In my opinion, it's, LSU. He goes to LSU to get developed, right? Get put on a national stage, play against the best competition, play around the best guys in college football, and then also be around a staff that's going to turn him into a pro-style quarterback. The upside is why this guy is projected to go 3rd overall.
But he's also
he won the Heisman Trophy. Yes. Does that help?
How old's Daniels?
Who?
Daniels, how old is he?
I'm blanking on who you're talking.
Jaden
Daniels. Sorry. Yeah. Jesus. I want to say this guy is 23. I want to say he's
23. Yeah.
Yep.
So he's a little bit older, but and a lot of this is because of COVID. COVID ruined.
Absolutely. COVID ruined a ton. Joe Burrow was very old when he got drafted too. It's not about so much the age stuff unless you're like Stetson Bennett level or Michael Penix. But yeah, he's an older quarterback. This guy's going to be fine. He's going to be fine.
I'll tell you one thing.
I agree with your statement. He cannot start right away.
I'll tell you one thing. I hate late bloomers that project up super high towards the end of draft season. Think of Zach Wilson. Will Levis actually got too much hype around his name in general. God, I'm trying to think of recent Mac Jones. Mac Jones had a lot of end of season hype. God, that whole 2021. It was 2021, that draft class. That was awful.
Who's the worst class?
2022. Who's the rookie quarterbacks last year? Stroud.
Levis.
Because 2022 draft class was terrible.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Bryce Young.
Yeah, I mean, there's no late bloomers in that class. Guys like Mitchell Trubisky, that's another name. Guys that just project up from being late first round, early second round, all of a sudden, no, they're going to be top 10. I don't like that. I think it's kind of a curse. And
yeah,
I don't. I think Jaden Daniels is a good quarterback. He out of my top 5, I think he's the guy that needs to sit the most. That's how I'll put it.
Yeah.
I think he needs to learn the passing game ropes in the NFL. Because I'm not concerned.
NFL offense. I don't think he understands X's and O's as good as we think he does.
Yeah, because I mean he's just basically.
And that might be a really hot take that I
completely agree with you. I mean, when you think about it, it was mainly concerned about the passing game and the routes being developed. And LSU had an amazing offensive line and amazing young offensive line. That LSU team next year might have a top top 3 offensive line in the country next year.
Yeah,
Like,
I think they're going to win the Joe Moore, to be completely honest with you.
yeah, like that team, they got some freaks.
Yeah.
I don't know, because Jaden, I've never really liked him that much as a player, if I'm going to be honest. I know he won the Heisman and everything, and the only game that I really liked from him was the first 3 quarters in that Alabama game. But like, I don't watch a lot of Jaden Daniels because one, LSU, like I'll watch LSU, but like you look at that Florida State game, he played not good, not that good. So it is what it is. And if you look at him play against top competition with competent defenses, he doesn't throw it around all that well. So like the only team that was like top 25-ish that he threw the ball well against was like Ole Miss off the top of my head. So and he threw the ball really well that game because Ole Miss doesn't have a defense.
It's inconsistency thing. It's tough.
That's what I don't like. That's just what I don't like about Jaden Williams. That'd be a player.
Daniels.
That'd be a player combo. Wow.
Yeah.
Is Jaden Daniels your number
That's
3?
perfect combo. Huh?
Is Jaden Daniels your number 3?
No.
No. Who's your number 3? 4?
JJ McCarthy is my number 3.
Okay.
I'm not high on Jaden Daniels.
Okay.
I just don't think this kid. I think he's one. I think you hit both heads on the nail. Not only is this a kid that needs to learn, but he's also going to get. He's flying with the board way too high, which means he's just going to get thrown into this situation where he's got to be the guy. He is not ready to be the guy.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't the guy for LSU, and he needed to be. That team, you throw.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that is an LSU defensive problem. That's all.
Yes.
No, that defense.
But last year,
that defense was Michigan State 2021 bad. Like,
yeah, no, 100%. They sucked, right? But he needed to be the guy, and I think there's other things about that kid that I don't know. I just don't think he's got all the intangibles. I am using intuition on this one, and I'm just.
I will say that he did really look good. He did look like you noticed a progression in this game, and that's something you want to see. So
yeah,
like, my number 2 guy, I didn't really see any progression from him. Like Caleb Williams, like how much did he progress from 2022 to 2023? Be honest. I will say, yeah, that's true. Well, I'm just saying, like, not talent-wise, I don't think you can. If you can improve on his talent, then I like freaking holy crap.
There's more to pull out of that kid.
Yeah,
they're gonna make a lot of money.
He is one of the most talented in terms of just everything he can do. He's one of the most talented prospects of like all time. Like,
yeah, of all time is the right word. 100%.
Like, my problem with Williams is the other stuff. Well, for one, he's not going to be able to do all this running crazy in the back type of stuff. And
these DNs run 4.4s.
And what I'll say is most people that USC wasn't the most watchable team this year. But what I'll say is he did make a lot more throws from the pocket and everything. And like he didn't take that much of a statistical bump down. Like the passing game was still good at USC. The problem was the offensive line and the run game and the defense. So basically like every other thing about football. But that's just the Lincoln Riley way. But
true.
I really do like Caleb, and like could he have been my number 1? Yeah. I can't put him there because but yeah, number 1, I just like way too much. I think he translates.
This kid blazes him.
I think he translates just super well. But I will say though, Caleb is good. Caleb is really good. I think he's one of those guys that could go, and it's kind of gonna suck to say. He's going to be kind of a boomer bust guy, and not saying he's a boomer bust prospect because he's super talented, but in terms of being trying to uplift the team into success, like it's going to be boomer bust, and his image will be really tainted if he sucks, if it's not his fault. So, but I think he's one of those guys that he's like a Baker Mayfield. He can uplift a team into relevancy.
Yeah, so 100%.
I don't know if I like that first draft comparison but because people love saying Patrick Mahomes, but like I feel like Baker
He's not
Mayfield.
Patrick Mahomes.
I think Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield is not, it's not a bad projection. Or comparison. He is just not Patrick Mahomes. Go watch their college tapes. They're not the same player. They just think that because he's got the same he's got that fro, right?
He doesn't have it anymore.
No, I know he shaved it, but he did.
He looks like a. Did you see? There's a tweet from a combine where it looks like, dude, it looks like this man hasn't like shaved or anything. Like he is definitely ready to like. He's been grinding, which is probably true because I think Caleb Williams is one of those guys that gets perceived bad from the media and from the national spotlight, but like behind the scenes, he's one of the hardest workers. Which is why he's still projected to go high. Because if he wasn't one of them,
he's a 5-star quarterback from Washington, D.C. Everyone, that's a state that doesn't produce hardly any NFL talent if they've ever. So this is a kid who he didn't play anywhere good. Gonzaga High School, look it up. Nowhere good. This is this kid's coming out of somewhere that just doesn't produce it. So therefore, for you to produce that, for somebody to be able to walk out of a place like that and go to the ranks of Oklahoma, USC, win a Heisman, and now be projected to be the first overall draft pick, you got to work hard. That just doesn't come by luck.
Is Caleb your 2 or 1?
Caleb's my 1.
Okay.
This is the guy.
Okay. If I asked you this question 3 weeks ago, I think you would have had a different answer.
Yeah, I've just sat here and I've watched a lot of Caleb Williams.
I know.
Read a lot
like,
about
when I made that TikTok, I'm like, dude, this guy's still really good.
He's so good.
But he ain't my number 1 though. He
No,
ain't my number 1.
Chapel
Drake
Hill,
May.
baby.
The thing is like Drake May, ever since he's touched a college football field and been a starter, he's been a stud. Like he has been a stud. And I know he had not the best games in 2023, but that North Carolina team took a big downfall. Like the fact that they were able to like stay like, God, would they go? I want to say they went 7-5, 8-4. The fact they like if they didn't have Drake May, they're going 3-9. Like I firmly believe that. Their defense wasn't great.
Yeah, their defense is not good.
Their receiver room took a huge hit. The reason why Tez Walker's not that talented of a receiver, but he was so much better than the second guy in North Carolina. Like Copenhagen was their best pass catcher before Tez Walker got eligibility. Copenhagen is like not even probably going to be an NFL tight end. So they did have a Morion Hampton though, and that kid he is a Walker preseason Walker like award. Hype. That kid's good. I wish he would transfer, to be honest, and go to like Georgia, but
right,
like go to a program that like needs a running back. Or if he went to Michigan, like if that kid went to Michigan, got to be with Donovan Edwards, dude, that would be so nice.
Yeah, but and I think still Maureen Hampton's going to make his name for himself and be a very high drafted.
That guy is a physical runner. He's not one of those guys that runs 4 yards. He runs through you for 4 yards. So, but back to Drake May. When I watch this guy, I know I've said this about Rattler, but dude, Drake May can throw the ball everywhere. And the only thing I'll say is Drake May's zip on the ball, I don't think is the best, but it's still like relatively like above average. But the accuracy, I think he's honestly the most accurate passer in this NFL draft.
Yeah. I mean,
okay. If you don't yes, 2023 Drake May's tape's still like relatively good. Dude, go watch when he was throwing the ball to Josh Downs and Antoine Green. That kid, just different. He was different in 2022. And if North Carolina had this thing called physical football team, like there's a reason why Drake May, like in the 2023 preseason, 2022 offseason, whatever you want to say it was, he was getting a lot of hype about transferring to Bama because this kid, he's legit. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be able to start day 1 too. I firmly believe that. He's got the tools. I think he's got the right persona and charisma. Like you don't want a game plan against me. You want to game plan with me. Like that is such like that's BDE energy right there, and that's something you like in a quarterback. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I mean, our lists aren't too much different. You had
I
it
had
was
Rattler. I have it written down. Rattler, McCarthy, Daniels, Williams, May.
so I go back and forth. So I made two lists, and I could argue either one of them being, the right one or
And
not.
I will say, the more I watch it, I kind of wish I had Penix on this list. He's
I
just
was just about to say. So my one list goes Caleb Williams, Drake May, JJ McCarthy, Jaden Daniels, Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler stays at 5 for me. McCarthy stays at 3, May 2, Caleb 1. Michael Penix is this guy that he's not getting enough talk because, well, first of all, he didn't win the national title, so that didn't help. If he would have won the national title,
dude.
he's
He'd be the top 5 pick. No, but
he
he'd be a
no,
top
there's
50.
argument that he would
He-
replace where Jaden Daniels is at because it's recency bias, right? So Jaden Daniels has the recency bias of winning the or of winning the Heisman Trophy.
yeah.
Michael Penix would have had the recency bias of winning, the national championship and being snubbed as a Heisman. And there would have been a lot of, storylines, but he didn't. And he arguably played his worst game of his career in that game. So here's why I think Michael Penix, you throw away the shoulder injury, the 2 knee surgeries, the fact that he's 24, might be drafted when he's 25. I don't know about that, but 24 right now.
I think he's going to play when he's 25 next in his rookie
That
year.
maybe that's it. Maybe he takes his first snap at 25. So you throw all that away. Out of the hand, a lot of people love to, talk about let's watch film, not watch statistics, even though statistics are great. You watch that ball come out of his hand. I don't think there's a guy in the NFL right now. I don't think there's a guy sitting in college football right now that has a ball that looks better out of the hand than Michael Penix. Some would say Joe Milton, but like I said, I don't ever want to hear comparisons with Joe
Joe
Milton.
Milton should go undrafted, bro. Like
Joe Milton is
he could be like a 6th round pick.
he
Like
reminds
if you can develop that kid, you like deserve the biggest pay raise ever because
yeah, you'll be remembered as one of the greatest assistants of all time. But I love to use this comparison when people ask, well, why is Joe Milton like he can throw the ball 70 yards, 80 yards? Like, listen to me like this. World long drive. We're gonna go golf here. World long drive champions can hit the golf ball 400 yards. They can have carries of 390, right?
like me. Yeah.
That's ungodly. There's not people doing that in the PGA. Can they hit a chip shot? Can they putt? Can they do this? Can they do that? Right? No.
Yeah.
Joe Milton is the world long drive champion trying to play on the PGA. That is that is the comparison I'm trying to make. Michael Penix can do it all. Michael Penix has finesse, he has touch, he has this, he has that. Everything that is bogging him down is stuff that has all been in the past. Stuff that he can't control either. He can't control the fact that he's torn his ACL twice, and he can't control the fact that he blew out his shoulder. He can't control the fact that his age, and because of those injuries, that's why he hasn't gone. If that guy doesn't get hurt, he gets drafted out of Indiana. Well, that or he transfers somewhere else and gets drafted out of there as a junior. But he still made it, and this is a guy who, spins it with the best of them. Has done really, really well and won everywhere he's gone. He was developed by a guy who might be one of the better quarterback coaches in Kalen DeBoer. So there's a lot of things that I just look at and I'm like, I can't leave this guy off a list because I don't want this. I personally don't think this guy deserves to be a what if guy. I think this guy deserves an opportunity, and I think he's going to get one.
I just also think this is like low key a really good quarterback draft class too.
Yeah, yeah. This is a guy that probably in 2021 he goes high. He goes high in 2021. 2022 is weird because quarterback 3 didn't even go because Levis was quarterback 3, right?
Well, no. You're thinking 2022 was Pickett, Ritter.
I'm sorry.
Willis.
2022, he goes high.
Yeah,
High. He might
2023.
be the first
You
quarterback
know what?
board.
He would go before Levis, and you might think that he goes before Anthony Richard. He goes before.
I always forget that 2023 draft class had AR-15 because he just didn't play.
But
But
he's
he's
dude.
a freak. The guy.
I
I'm gonna
still
go
think
off.
though. I think he doesn't. I think Penix would be like in the teens. In the teens, I think that's where he'd go.
Yeah. No, but Michael Penix deserves a nod here. But a guy that's just shocking me that's still getting a boatload of attention, and I just don't understand it. But then again, I'm not an NFL draft scout. I'm not an NFL GM. I'm not a draft scout, whatever. Is Bo Nix.
The only stat that I'll bring up for this kid is that his average yards per depth on every throw, it was worse than some FCS quarterbacks. Like he's very accurate, yeah. Can he throw the deep ball? Of course, but as a Division I college football quarterback, you're supposed you know what? He doesn't look that much different to me when he was at Oregon and when he was at Auburn. The only thing is his team was a lot better at Oregon than it was at Auburn, and he had
and yet they still couldn't get to a big game.
No, and there's a reason
they didn't win a big game.
In that Pac-12 championship game, I think that's when Bo Nix actually looked pretty solid, but he still turned the ball over. Like in that first game, he didn't make the crucial decisions to win games. Like
right, and it took him 5 years to get to this point. This is the argument when people are like, "Well, Bo Nix he's better than JJ McCarthy." JJ McCarthy played 2 years of college football. He got here in 2 years. He's a junior. He could still go back and play college football. And it took Bo Nix 5 years.
And I'll say, Bo Nix is the Michigan quarterback. They don't make the college football playoff. They don't.
Dude, no. Because Cade McNamara, you got to understand, the year that Michigan made it their first year when they played Georgia, that was one of the weirdest years. Cincinnati made that playoff. That was a weird year. It was a weird year.
Well, yeah, because it was Georgia and Bama and then everyone else.
Right, exactly, right? The next year they make it there. That's a legit team, and they're obviously just 2 bad plays away from being in there. Whatever. The argument, though, is that Bo Nix is never, not at the college level and certainly not at the NFL level, is he going to elevate a team by him being under the. He reminds me, this is the quarterback comparison. This is it right here.
I think
Ryan Tannehill.
I thought you were gonna go Brock Purdy, but
no. Brock Purdy brings a different element.
Brock Purdy's legs
are really good.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy's just Joe Cool, man. He's Joe Cool.
People forget that, like Iowa State that year, Brock Purdy's last year in college football, they were a preseason top 4 team.
Preseason top 4, Brock Purdy wins. Brock Purdy wins everywhere he goes. This is why JJ McCarthy gets respect for winning as much as he did without doing as much as he should have and could have.
Brock Purdy took the beating, so JJ McCarthy.
Right. In some ways, it's weird to think about it, but there's an element of like, hey, if you win everywhere, like Bo Nix didn't win anywhere. Like
Michael Penix won everywhere.
Michael Penix won everywhere. Caleb Williams needs to people need to start talking about the fact that kid never made a playoff. Never made a playoff.
You know what though?
I don't care. He never made a playoff.
I don't think
you're the greatest quarterback prospect, arguably, of all time. You're of the guys.
You're telling me any other quarterback this season's gonna elevate USC to make a playoff game? No.
I don't know. He kind of pouted a lot. This guy.
Dude,
be a leader.
You don't. Okay, no, there's nothing. Those soft ass fucking offensive linemen, defensive, that front 7, they just didn't work, and that's why a lot of guys, especially some defensive backs, like Damani Jackson, they're transferring out because they're bringing in a staff finally to play some physical football and not just be 5-star Hollywood boys that just sit there and look pretty and don't actually do anything.
But Caleb Williams he falls right in with that, in my opinion.
Yeah, but he's insanely
Yeah,
good.
he's the most talented quarterback in the draft. He's arguably the most talented
And
quarterback.
he's produced at the college level. Like, it'd be one thing if
No, he's
he
produced, but there's a
Yeah.
thing. Winning is a category. Winning is a stat. This is why Tom Brady can never be removed from GOAT status. Winning is a thing. Winning matters most.
Yeah, I get where you're
You're
coming
never
from.
going to be remembered, dude. Aaron Rodgers, oh my gosh, all these what has he done? What has he done when it mattered the most?
He's won one Super Bowl.
Congratulations. Tom Brady owns you. Tom Brady owns you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Eli Manning owns Tom Brady.
Yeah, does he?
Yes, he does.
Well, I don't know. Still
Eli
won
Manning,
7 Super Bowls of the 10 that he went to.
yeah. No, for sure. I'm just saying that Eli Manning is the best player ever.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. But back to Caleb Williams and all this. I mean, it's just Michael Penix won everywhere. I think Drake May gets an exception because he's at USC, and that's just different. It's just really different because they're not of the they can't recruit like a team like Oklahoma and USC can. That's just not that's not an apples to apples comparison of why, because there is an element to like, oh, your team is so bad that you can't win, yet you put up gaudy numbers or you're ready. I think Drake May, I look at Drake May,
Drake May elevated that team to winning some games that they probably
they had no business winning. Yes. Drake May is the most raw, talented quarterback that could actually pan out, in my opinion, that I've ever seen.
I don't think
Josh Allen.
I don't think he's
raw.
Not as raw.
His fundamentals suck. His fundamentals.
I don't think he's as raw as Allen, though. I don't think.
No. He's not as raw as Allen. Allen was a pure gambler.
When Drake May drops back, takes it in the shotgun, takes his little hop step back and throws it, dude. I don't think there's much players that look better, to be honest.
Yeah, and he's still going to go number 2 overall because of it. And raw talent does get you a lot of places, and he's got enough tape to show that raw talent can be turned.
I think the only reason why he looks raw is because North Carolina is just not that good of a place.
Right.
I do agree. He does need some development. I'm not.
And the NFL GMs have learned from the guys. I mean, from all the teams that are super.
You kind of want a quarterback like that, though, because your
culture is a huge thing, right? Drake May had every opportunity to go anywhere he wanted in the entire country, anywhere he wanted. He could have called the coach and said, "Hey," but he stayed. And he grinded that out, and he, is still going to go number 2 overall. Coaches see that too. GMs see that too. Drake May is a class act guy. Caleb Williams is a class act guy too. I think that needs to get put out there more. This is a guy he's a people's person.
Think about it.
He's a good dude.
Every quarterback and player now, for the most part, is a good media guy.
Yes, good media guy is a great word because I will use media. There's such thing as media training. You can be media trained and not be actually a good dude. I see that all the time. I don't know who I would. There's a lot of people that I could use as examples, but I'm not going to sit here and use this platform to just say,
Aaron Rodgers. That's a bad media guy.
Yeah, there you go. There's a guy who everyone knows. Yeah, everyone knows he's a bad media guy, but I wouldn't say he's a bad dude. He's just different.
He's different. He's not good for public display.
He's not the guy that when you win the Super Bowl, you want him the mic. You're like, oh gosh, okay, let's not give that guy the mic again.
Yeah.
Smaj Morgan, when he got, caught on IG Live saying some choice words.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So. Oh, Smaj Morgan was Michigan. You're supposed to be a scholar, right? A gentleman and a scholar, right? Smaj Morgan's on his live after they beat OSU, and he's saying the N-word like nobody's business. Yeah, you're just. I don't care what right you have. Jim Harbaugh preaches that you are just not. That is not classy.
CJ Stroud's the most class act quarterback of all time. Can we just talk about?
Yeah. That guy is. He's the stand-up act. And he's just. And the funniest thing was that in his short stint so far in the NFL, he's been in the bad limelight once, and it was celebrity softball game, and there's a porn star that was actually he was caught in the same car with, I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, come on, CJ, like, blah, blah,
Hey,
blah."
maybe he just needs that spice in his life.
No, the thing is that he's like, "We just met, she needed a ride home, and she literally asked me at the game if I could give her a ride." It's like, dude, the guy can't lose. It's just like he continues to just keep
Yeah.
up that
He's
reputation.
like the most like genuine guy ever. He's the biggest manipulator.
Yeah, and I'll say this as the biggest Tom Brady fan ever. Tom Brady's a great media guy. He's not a good dude off the field. Not that he's like getting in trouble. He's not getting in trouble. A very selfish human being for the right reasons. You have to be great sometimes because you have to just say, "Hey, well, I'm gonna do me." And you can go off, and that's why he didn't care for his supermodel wife and his kids, and said, "I'm going to go win 3 more Super Bowls. Have a nice life." But that's a guy that I've heard a lot about not being the greatest media guy or not being the greatest guy off the
You know
field.
who I heard's like one of the biggest dicks, off off the court.
Mhm.
Because Blake Griffin, dude.
Oh, I don't know if I've
Yeah.
ever heard that.
No, dude.
That
Like
kinda surprises me.
he is apparently like the biggest D bag ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I would have
Dude,
never
and there's
thought
some clips in the NBA where he's like actually like just being a dick. Like, dude, there's one when he's on the Clippers where it's like he's taking this trainer and like acting like he's like making him like suck his dick, dude. Like it's
oh gosh.
yeah, like
That's tough.
yeah,
That's
he's
not
he's
something to
actually
do.
like one of the biggest like dicks
Wow.
from what I've heard.
That's a shame.
But he's a
That
comedian.
is a shame.
He's a comedian. So
I guess so.
uh one thing I would say is that, and this was to your Joe Milton point that I know I wanted to express earlier.
Yeah.
He's got a crazy arm, right? How much throws are you making 50 yards plus down the field?
If you would have asked me that question 10 years ago, yeah, he's making a decent amount. He's never gonna those throws just aren't made in the league anymore. This
I
is a
mean,
touchdown league.
eh, you still can. You still can.
No,
It's
in some offenses that that are
like
like that.
Dak Prescott like makes throws around the field pretty deeply, I'd say.
Yeah, and it's just all about the offense, but most offensive schemes aren't dialing up that. And once again, he's not hitting those like at a high rate. It's not like he's like super, super accurate from 50 yards plus. It's not that.
He's not. He's just he can
He's
throw the
not
ball
ready. He's
anywhere.
not this guy. If this
He'll
guy
never
turns
be
out to
ready. He's had like 5 years to be ready in college.
no, yeah,
He'll never be ready. Like
no.
if
Great
the
athlete though. This guy still could play in the NFL because he's a great athlete. He's a
yeah.
really good athlete.
Yeah.
He could play he could, but like changing positions in the NFL is something that's really hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Changing positions in college, yeah, that might have been a smart thing to do, but NFL, it's tough.
yeah, one guy I will say that I think could be, I don't know if he'll be picked higher, but someone I just like as a player, Michael Pratt.
Mm,
Winner at Tulane, a big reason, a decently when he was out at Tulane this season, they had Kai Horton there. There was a difference. He's not like the most like. He actually kind of reminds me of Spencer Rattler in some ways, just in terms of his physical build. Like if you
yeah,
were to put those two side by
they look. If you were to put
if
in the
you put
same
them in
uniform,
pads, if you put them in
yeah,
pads and helmet, like they just
they're
look
the
like
same dude.
yeah. But he's more. I feel like he's more check down oriented. Um, he's not making crazy throws down the field, but he's still a good quarterback, and he's
Yeah,
really accurate as well. Other than that, I don't have any because we know my opinion on Bo Nix.
yeah,
I'm
check
trying to
down
think of
king.
who else is in the draft this year that I'm trying to like think of. I know Austin Reed's in the draft, but he's not good.
A quarterback that gets a lot of buzz is the Kentucky quarterback. Remind me of his name.
No, not Devin Leary.
Devin Leary.
Oh,
Devin
okay,
Leary.
okay. Devin Leary was amazing at NC State, but
Yeah, he's an interesting prospect.
Kentucky just ruins quarterbacks. They do. I'm sorry. Like Will Levis. Okay, I actually don't believe Will Levis was ever that good, but
No, there was
uh,
more reason to believe that Anthony Richardson was going to be pan out to be good than there was to believe that Will Levis
Will
was.
Levis was a backup at Penn State, bro. Like he was starting behind. God, who was the quarterback there at the time? Sean Clifford. And no disrespect to
No,
Sean
he's
Clifford.
underperforming NFL guy
He's just not
or
that good.
underperforming college football quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, he was just average. He was just really average. And if you're this elite draft prospect, you should be able to take a spot. So,
Yeah.
you know what, though? It's all good because you want to know why?
Why?
Because next week sometime. Well, we're gonna be doing a March Madness bracket episode.
Yes.
You did.
Yeah.
I don't know if you answered that question for me or not, but we're doing that because
Yeah, that's okay with me. I'm gonna make one.
Yeah. So
Have to.
we'll make one live. We'll make one live.
There we go. That's a good idea.
I did it last year, so I think doing it together and talking about it, because we're not a basketball podcast, but March Madness is a national 1 month holiday. That's how I look at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. You walk around schools, offices, whatever.
I wanted to go.
everybody's computers.
I'll talk more about this off the air, but I wanted to go to that game so bad. The games in Detroit so bad, but they're kind of expensive, and I'm like,
the first four.
No. The
the round of
the
is
round
it
of
Sweet 16 or is it
Sweet
round of
16.
32?
It's Sweet 16 and Elite 8.
Yeah, I mean those are going to be expensive no matter what. Those are big games.
I thought about going to the first four this year, but I'm just like, that's literally next Wednesday and Tuesday, I believe.
Yeah.
Or next Tuesday and Wednesday. So like, So, all right. You got any other thoughts, Mr. Elliott?
I got none. I think we covered everything really well, and those are our guys, and I would die on that list. I'm serious.
Yeah. Next week, March Madness episode. We will try to bring you skilled position guys like running backs, tight ends, and receivers next. So we'll probably do, because I think it's a little bit easier and quicker to talk about receivers and running backs and tight ends, just because there's not as much, there's not as much pressure on them. So,
right.
I don't know if we'll do any offensive. I guess we could do big boy. We could do a big boys episode with linebackers, D linemen, and offensive linemen, and then do DBs.
Yeah.
So that'll be our draft coverage. And then you know what's right after draft season, Robbie?
What's after draft season?
College football preseason, basically.
Let's go.
We can get all caught up on the spring practices, all the buzz, all the transfer portal shenanigans that are going to be happening over the spring. And it's going to be a fun summer, man. It's going to be a really fun summer. So
yes, sir.
And that's when we'll take off and be the number one podcast, or one of the top podcasts. And you know how you can make us one of the top podcasts? You want to know how? Like, subscribe, and share.
There you go. You heard it here first, folks. Do it.
So that was the end of the episode. Make sure to stay tuned for me and Robbie's analysis and breakdown in a different sport, but we still know a lot about it. College basketball March Madness bracket.